At Thanksgiving dinner, my uncle roared across the table. You think Grandpa left you the house because he loved you? And oh, I forged his signature on the will. He thought he was just airing the truth after too much wine, until I quietly turned my phone around, showing that the entire confession was being streamed live to Grandpa's lawyer and 3 witnesses. He was arrested for fraud within 72 hours, and family voted unanimously to erase him from the family trust permanently. I'm Clint. I'm 33. I live in Springfield, Missouri. And last Thanksgiving, my family finally saw my uncle for what he really is, a liar, a thief, and a fraud. He thought he was untouchable, thought no one would ever question him. But I was done playing nice. This story goes back to when my grandpa, Harold, passed away in February last year. He was 91. He lived in the same house for over 60 years. It wasn't a mansion or anything, just a modest 2-bedroom place on the edge of town. But to him, it was everything. He built it with his own hands, raised his kids there, buried his wife, and never moved after she died. And he told me, over and over again, that when he was gone, that house would be mine. He didn't just say it once. He said it for years. I was the only one who really showed up for him. When he got sick, I moved in. I changed his sheets. I cleaned him when he couldn't make it to the toilet. I made him oatmeal and sat with him when he cried at night. My Uncle Mike, nowhere to be found. My Aunt Lisa, came by once a month at best. But I stayed. So when Grandpa finally passed, I felt like I had done right by him. I was crushed, but I was also at peace. He wasn't suffering anymore. Then came the will. The lawyer called us all in about a week after the funeral. I wore the same suit I'd worn to Grandpa's service. Sat quietly. I already knew what he was going to say. Grandpa had promised me. But when the lawyer read it, I couldn't believe what I heard. The house was left to my Uncle Mike. Just like that. Nothing to me. Nothing mentioned. Just, to my son Michael, I leave my home and all associated property. I couldn't breathe. My ears rang. I felt like someone hit me in the chest. Mike just leaned back in his chair and smirked. Didn't even look surprised. After the meeting, I asked the lawyer for a copy of the will. He gave it to me without a problem. Said Grandpa had signed it 2 weeks before he died. That's when my stomach dropped. 2 weeks before Grandpa passed, he was barely lucid. He had moments where he didn't even remember his own name. He was on pain meds strong enough to knock out a horse. I remember that week clear as day. He couldn't even hold a pen. I didn't say anything to the lawyer. Just nodded. Took the will. Went home. But from that moment on, I couldn't sleep. I started asking questions. I called George, Grandpa's longtime friend who helped him fix stuff around the house. I asked if he knew anything about the will. He said, "Funny you ask. Your grandpa had me and Ellen witness some papers maybe a month before he passed. He was real clear that day. Told me, I want Clint to have this house. He earned it. But the will I got from the lawyer didn't list George or Ellen as witnesses. It listed 2 completely different names, both people I didn't know. I tried looking them up. Couldn't find anything. Probably fake. That's when I knew. Uncle Mike forged it. I didn't confront anyone. Not yet. I didn't have money for a lawyer, and if I accused him with nothing to back it up, he'd just deny it and make me look crazy. I needed something solid. So I waited. Months went by. I played it cool. Uncle Mike moved into the house. Acted like a king. Even tossed out Grandpa's old recliner and put a flat screen in the living room. Then came Thanksgiving. We had dinner at Aunt Lisa's. I wasn't going to go, but something in me told me to show up. Something told me this was my chance. So I came, but not unprepared. I had a Zoom meeting scheduled on my phone with Grandpa's lawyer, George, Ellen, and a 3rd witness who knew Grandpa well. I positioned the phone on the side of the table with the screen facing me. Camera on. Mic hot. Everyone listening in. Dinner started normal. Turkey. Mashed potatoes. Everyone pretending we liked each other. Mike drank more than usual. 2 glasses of red before dinner. Another with the meal. He got louder. More obnoxious. Making snide comments. Saying how he was glad to be out of that dump he used to rent. That owning a house feels good. I stayed quiet. Then he raised his glass. To Dad. Gotta hand it to the old bastard. He knew who deserved the house. My blood boiled. I said, "Yeah, real interesting how that worked out." He looked at me. Grinned. "Oh, don't be bitter, Clint. You think Grandpa left you that house out of love? Please." And then, like he couldn't help himself, he slammed his glass down. "You think Grandpa gave a damn about you? No. I forged his damn signature on the will. That house is mine because I took it. Nobody gave me anything. He laughed. The whole room froze. You could hear the silverware clink as my mom set down her fork. My cousin looked from me to Mike with wide eyes. I didn't say a word. I picked up my phone, turned it around, showed him the screen. Four faces stared back. The lawyer's jaw was hanging open. George looked furious. Ellen said softly, "We heard everything." Mike's face turned white. He tried to backtrack. "That's not what I meant." The lawyer cut him off through the speaker. "Michael Bradley, you've just admitted to a felony. This is being recorded and witnessed. You'll be hearing from me. And the police." Mike lunged across the table like he wanted to grab the phone. My cousin held him back. Aunt Lisa screamed. My mom told everyone to sit down. But it was already over. I had him. The next 3 days were chaos. Mike didn't get arrested right away. That surprised some people, but not me. The law moves slow, especially when it comes to family disputes. But the lawyer wasn't bluffing. He filed a fraud report that night. He also sent me a copy of the original will, the one George and Ellen had witnessed, the one Mike had replaced. Turns out, Grandpa had it notarized, but Mike must have broken into Grandpa's file cabinet and swapped it before anyone noticed. The signatures on Mike's version were traced, fake names, no record of the notary. The original? Solid, clear intent. Grandpa had left me everything. By Monday morning, police came to Mike's house. He didn't answer the door at first. I know because George called me, said he lived down the street, and watched the whole thing. Mike finally opened up in a robe, looking hungover. They didn't arrest him on the spot, but they took him in for questioning. 2 hours later, I got a call. It was the detective. He said Mike confessed, not just to the forgery, but to breaking into Grandpa's safe the night after he died. He knew there was a will. He knew Grandpa left the house to me. But he wanted it, said it was his birthright. That he'd earned it because he was the oldest son. That was his logic. The detective said charges would be filed. That I need to testify eventually. That this could get ugly. Ugly didn't even begin to cover it. Within days, word spread through the family. Aunt Lisa called me crying. Said she didn't know. I believed her. She's dense, but not a liar. Drew texted me. Dude, that was savage. You seriously had that planned? But the real drama came from Mike's side of the family. His wife, Gloria, called my mother and said we were destroying her family. Said we were blowing things out of proportion, and Mike was confused when he made that statement. That he didn't mean it literally. My mom hung up on her. Then Gloria showed up at my door. I live in a small apartment near downtown Springfield. I wasn't expecting anyone, so when I opened the door and saw her standing there, I froze. Clint, she said, we need to talk. I stepped outside and closed the door behind me. She looked me in the eye. He's your uncle. Don't let this go to court. Please. He'll lose everything. His job, his license, his retirement. He's not a bad man. I said nothing for a second. Then I asked, did you know he forged it? She blinked. Didn't answer. You knew? I said. You knew, and you let me lose everything. I slept on my friend's couch for 3 months after Grandpa died. You watched me pack my things and leave the house Grandpa wanted me to have. Her eyes welled up, but I didn't feel sorry for her. I didn't know for sure, she whispered. I suspected. I shook my head. Then you're just as bad. She tried to say more, but I walked back inside and closed the door. I locked it. That night, my mom told me something else. I talked to the rest of the family, she said. We took a vote. Your uncle's out. Permanently. From the trust, from the family plot, from everything. No inheritance. No rights. Nothing. The next morning, Uncle Mike was served. Fraud. Forgery. Obstruction. 3 charges. But he didn't go quietly. He went to the local paper. He told them I was manipulating Grandpa in his final days. That I tricked a dying man into changing the will. That the family was turning against him because of a vendetta. They ran a story. Small column. No names. But people knew. Springfield is not a big town. People figured it out. I started getting calls from folks I didn't even know. Some were supportive. Others told me I should have kept my mouth shut. But I didn't care. Because I'd only just started. After the article ran, things got worse fast. Uncle Mike's story didn't gain traction with the media, but it lit a fire under him. He started showing up where he knew I'd be. First time was at my job. I work at a local auto shop off Battlefield Road. He rolled in during lunch, parked outside, and just stared through the window. Didn't come in. Just sat in his truck and watched. I didn't say anything to my boss. Just ignored him. But I took pictures, sent them to the lawyer. Then he started calling people old family friends, people from church, telling them I was unstable, that I was making false accusations to get a free house. He even messaged my ex-girlfriend from years ago, told her I was dragging Grandpa's name through the mud, trying to turn people against me. But the thing is, most of those people knew Grandpa. They knew me too, and Mike had always been a jerk. So instead of winning people over, he just made himself look desperate. Still, it rattled me. I started locking my doors at night, bought a security camera for my front porch. One night I heard footsteps outside around 2 a.m. I peeked through the blinds, didn't see anything, but when I checked the footage the next morning, there was a man walking across my lawn, hood up, staying out of the porch light. Couldn't prove it was Mike, but I knew it was. I gave it to the police. They didn't do much. Said unless he made a direct threat, it was just trespassing and hard to pin. But the case moved forward, and then something huge happened. Ellen, one of the original witnesses on Grandpa's real will, found an old voicemail on her phone from Grandpa. She'd saved it without realizing. In the message, Grandpa says clearly, "Hey Ellen, it's Harold. Just calling to thank you again for signing those papers. I wanted Clint to have the house. You know how much he's done for me. You're a good friend." The date stamp? 3.5 weeks before he died. That voicemail became the nail in the coffin. The lawyer sent it to the DA. Charges got upgraded. Mike's defense team tried to argue Grandpa was mentally unfit at the time, but that voicemail, paired with the signed original will, the witnesses, and Mike's recorded Thanksgiving confession killed that argument. Mike was looking at real prison time. But before the trial even started, he tried to make a deal. His lawyer reached out to mine and offered this. Mike would give up all claims to the house, take a plea deal, and serve probation if I dropped the civil suit we were preparing against him. Because yes, I was going after him in civil court too. For damages, for pain, for lost time. I wasn't going to let him walk away clean. My lawyer said it was up to me. I told them no. I wanted everything on record. I wanted a judge to hear how this man used Grandpa's death to steal from me. How he sat in that house, drank beer in Grandpa's chair, and laughed in my face. So the trial moved forward. But then came the final twist. 3 weeks before the court date, I got a visit from someone I never expected to see. My cousin, Mike's other son, Tyler. We hadn't talked in years. He moved to St. Louis and got out of the family mess early. But he came down, knocked on my door, and said he needed to tell me something. He sat on my couch, looked me in the eye, and said, "I think Dad's hiding money." I said, "What do you mean? He got that house, right?" Tyler said, "But he also cleaned out Grandpa's accounts before the funeral." I didn't realize it then, but I overheard him on the phone with his banker the week after Grandpa passed. Something about transfers and closing it out before anyone noticed. I stared at him. Tyler pulled out an old notebook. I wrote the bank name down. I think he moved money. A lot of it. Tyler handed me the notebook. Inside was the name of a local credit union I'd never heard of, plus a rough date, February 21st, just 5 days after Grandpa died. My hands started to shake. "Why are you telling me this now?" I asked. Tyler sighed. "Because I hated what he did to you. I left town to stay away from that crap, but when I read about the trial, I couldn't sleep. I thought maybe you could do something with this." I didn't trust him fully. He was still Mike's son. But what he gave me turned out to be real. I gave the info to my lawyer the next morning. He subpoenaed the bank records. What we found was sickening. Mike had transferred $86,000 from Grandpa's accounts to a private savings account in his name. He did it in 2 waves, all within 1 week of Grandpa's death. The second transfer happened the same day he gave the fake will to the estate lawyer. The money was supposed to be part of the family trust, meant to be split among the family, with the house going to me. But Mike had drained it, and he thought no one would catch him. When we added this to the court case, the judge allowed it. The fraud charges now had weight beyond just the will. Now we had financial theft, elder exploitation, and wire fraud. The DA called it a pattern of manipulation. Mike's lawyer tried to withdraw the plea and stall the trial. The judge denied it. A week later, the trial began. I had to sit in that courtroom and listen to Mike call me a liar. He tried to twist everything, claimed Grandpa didn't trust me, that I manipulated an old man to write a new will, that I doctored recordings, that the voicemail was deep-faked. But the jury didn't buy it. George testified. Ellen cried on the stand. Tyler gave his statement about what he overheard. The banker confirmed the money transfers. And then they played the Thanksgiving confession. There was no way out. Mike was convicted on all charges. The judge called it a disgusting abuse of family and trust. He was sentenced to 3 years in prison and ordered to repay the money. He also lost any right to inherit anything else from the family permanently. When they took him away, he didn't look at me. He looked at the ground. Prompt to self, continue up to the ending. Ending must be very dramatic. Vengeful endings who made mistakes, including OP if applicable, use simple words ending. Mike went to prison. They gave him 3 years, but with good behavior, he'll probably serve less. That part still bothers me. What he did tore a hole through my family. Some wounds don't heal with time, especially when the damage was done by someone who shares your blood. The money, the $86,000, I haven't seen most of it. The court ordered him to pay it back, but it turns out Mike spent a lot of it. Gambling, credit card bills, a vacation to Arizona right after Grandpa's funeral. That was the real gut punch. He used stolen money to sit by a pool while I packed my things into a storage unit. He has to pay it back over time. Some of it might come from selling his truck, maybe part of his retirement. But I doubt I'll ever see all of it. The win wasn't about the cash, though. The real victory was the house. It took almost a year to undo the fraud. My lawyer had to petition the probate court to accept Grandpa's original will, and once the criminal charges were in place, the judge had no issue overturning Mike's version. The house was finally signed over to me this past March. The day I got the keys back, I stood in the living room and cried. Not because I won. Not because I beat him. But because Grandpa would have hated every second of this. He trusted Mike. Maybe not with his home, but as his son. He never thought Mike would go that far. And I should have done more. I should have checked the safe sooner. Should have demanded answers earlier. Maybe if I had, things wouldn't have gotten this far. That's the part that eats at me. As for the rest of the family, it's different now. Aunt Lisa barely talks to me. I think part of her blames me, even though she won't say it. Drew's on my side, but keeps his distance. My mom and I? Closer than ever. She told me something I won't forget the night after the trial. You were the only one who stood up for Dad. Everyone else looked away. You didn't. That's the part one hold on to. Tyler moved back to Springfield recently. We talk sometimes. He's quiet. Keeps to himself. But I'll say this. Without him, we might have missed the money trail. So I don't lock the door when he visits. And Mike? He writes letters from prison. I don't read them. I just toss them into a box in the attic. Maybe one day I'll read them. Maybe not. He made his choices. And now he's living with them. The house is quiet these days. I kept Grandpa's chair, the one Mike tried to throw out. I fixed the leg, cleaned the fabric, and put it back by the window where Grandpa used to sit. Sometimes I sit there too, just to remember. Not everything about revenge feels good. But some things feel right.